My name is Dr. Kate Burke, and I'm the Senior Medical Advisor here at Patients Like Me. We are teaming up with the NIH's All of Us research program to bring you this webinar on the importance of patient participation in research. Today, I am joined by two members of the All of Us research program, as well as two members of the Patients Like Me community, to have an engaging roundtable discussion about clinical research, why you should get involved, and how to sign up. Let's start with some quick introductions. Alicia, do you mind going first and telling us your name, where you're from, and how you first got involved in clinical research?
Sure. So my name is Alicia Merchant. I'm from Roanoke, Virginia. I first got involved in clinical research because of my diagnosis with lupus back in 2012. I was suddenly diagnosed with lupus nephritis, which was aggressively attacking my kidneys. All at once, I experienced hair loss, fluid gain, weight gain from lupus attacking my kidneys, skin rashes, and kidney failure. I then went into 6 months of chemotherapy treatment, which was really, really rough, but it did put me on my path to recovery. At that point, I started my organization, Making Lupus Look Good, in which we make custom wigs for women with lupus who are experiencing hair loss, which I did. We also do photo shoots to restore confidence in women with lupus. I also started the first support group here in Roanoke, the Survivors Circle, and I became a chronic disease self-management workshop leader. So I was doing really good and jumped straight into advocacy. And then reality hit in 2016. And I woke up one morning and I had an excruciating headache, which led to vision loss and back and forth to the hospital. No answers really, other than I had migraines. Shortly after, maybe about 4 weeks later, 4 weeks after experiencing those symptoms, I had a grand mal seizure. After that, I was diagnosed with pseudotumor. And so I started doing my own research on pseudotumor, and I realized that I didn't fit the criteria of an individual to have the disease. And so I reached out on Patients Like Me and other online support groups to people who had pseudotumor. And I was just like, hey guys, I'm Alicia, I have pseudotumor. Have any of you ever had a seizure? And everybody was like, no. And so at that point, I dug deeper into my own healthcare. I started being my own advocate, talking more to my doctors and participating in my own research. And we ended up finding out that the pseudotumor developed secondary to lupus. And at that point, I realized that doctors are amazing, but they need our help also. And so from that time forward, I just started, really digging into research participation with Patients Like Me and the All of Us research program, and I haven't stopped since. So.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, Alicia. That was just very helpful, a great story for everyone to hear. And thank you. And now I think, Megan, we're going to go to you.
Hey, it's great to be here. My name is Megan Gillespie. I'm 23 years old and a recent graduate with my bachelor's in neuroscience and psychology. I first became involved in All of Us through my career. I currently work at ILRU, which is a disability research and advocacy organization at Teal Memorial Home in Houston, Texas. So my workplace is highly involved in community outreach, in community advocacy, and in servicing our community and representing the needs of people with disabilities. So all of us contacted us so they can get more in touch and so they can have a connection to the community of people with disabilities in Houston, Texas. And I grew really involved in the project. I was really inspired by the way it reached out to marginalized groups, to groups who have been underrepresented, and directly involved them and asked for understanding and received understanding through them. So I'm currently in a gap year before getting my PhD in neuropsychology. So I'm interested in this kind of work and research, both from a healthcare perspective as a clinician and from a researcher, while also as a member of these groups who want to learn more about her own health and who wants to bridge the gap and understand public health, public education, research, and science.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan, and thank you for sharing your story with us and how you became involved in the All of Us program. And thank you. So now we're going to turn to Mary. Mary, I was interested to have you share who you are and how you became involved in clinical research.
Yes, I became involved because of my age and because of my symptoms that go along with depression and anxiety. But because of my age, I began researching the potential that some degree of dementia could be involved. And I joined the Alzheimer's Association, and through that I began to join various studies. And I've learned a lot. It's helped me. Knowledge is power. And I feel that my participation is helpful to me, and probably it can be helpful to others in the future. I think that's all I have to say. If you have a question for me, I'd be happy to answer it.
No, I think that was fantastic. And thank you so much, Mary, for sharing your history and how you became involved in clinical research. Thank you. And so Phyllis, your turn. Perhaps you can share who you are and how you became involved in clinical research.
My name is Phyllis Bass, and I live in Cypress, Texas, and I'm living with rheumatoid arthritis, and I was diagnosed back when I was 5. And when I turned 15, I entered my first clinical trial at the request of a doctor. And since that time, I've been really entering as many trials as I can, because I know that they not only can help me, but they can help, the general population as well. And from there, I just somehow entered the world of patient advocacy. I've actually worked with the Arthritis Foundation. Actually, now I am working with them and contacting legislatures, trying to realize change in the way that one particular aspect is how medications are, they're doing the step therapy, and we want to try to make changes with step therapy and other things. I ended up finding Patients Like Me somehow, and I'm not quite sure how, but I'm happy that I did, because Patients Like Me has really opened up a whole new world. It allows people to meet other patients that are suffering from the same diseases that they suffer from, as well as others. It's a huge learning opportunity, and it's just a fun platform to interact with on a daily basis.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you for sharing that story, and thank you everyone for all those excellent introductions. We're just so happy to have you here today to discuss your experiences with clinical research studies and to stress the importance of patient participation. As we discussed during the first webinar of this series between and with Patients Like Me and the NIH, All of Us research program, that participating in a clinical study contributes to medical knowledge and can make a difference in the care of future patients by providing information about the benefits and risks of therapeutic, preventative, and diagnostic products or interventions. The All of Us research program is really a great example of a study that can transform the way we improve health research across the country. While clinical trial research is critical to advancing treatments and health outcomes, observational studies like the All of Us research program are working to answer questions about how our biology, our daily life, and environment affect our health. So to get started, I would like to ask our participants to share why it has been so important to them to participate in medical research. And with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and start with Alicia.
So in my experience, it's been important to me because, for one, you have an opportunity to get a new treatment for a disease before anyone else gets it. So that's always a plus, depending on where you are in the progression or digression of your disease. Also, it gives you a chance to be more active and proactive in your own role in your healthcare. Another great benefit I feel is that researchers sometimes get to provide you with medical care and more frequent health checkups than you would normally get as a part of your treatment. And lastly, for me, you get the chance to help others have a chance to, others have a chance to have better treatment in the future. So no, you may not see the fruits of your labor in your lifetime, but maybe your grandchildren will, your great grandchildren will. And so to me, it's just like, I get to be a part of the bigger picture, and it's not about right now, but it's about later in the future. So it's being about being a part of something bigger than myself and bigger than now. So that makes it important to me.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for sharing your reasons. And Megan, how about you? What are your reasons?
So I'm really happy to participate in this healthcare research and in this involving others in healthcare research, because I feel like it kind of democratizes healthcare. I feel like many people feel disempowered due to not having regular access to healthcare. Though very many people in America who very rarely see doctors, who don't even have checkups. And it's easy to feel as if you have no say in your own healthcare. It's easy to feel as if you don't even understand it. And I enjoy how all of us, for example, can get back genetic tests, right? If you give a swab, then you can go ahead and get your DNA back. And for many people who are interested in healthcare, but they've never had the means or the tools to go involved or understand, then this is a way of promoting access, of taking down the paywall and taking down that barrier that puts researchers, clinicians, and normal people, but people who are not involved in those areas kind of all on the same level, and open up a discussion where ordinarily everybody would be in entirely different playing fields.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Megan. And Mary, how about you? What are your reasons?
I think one is curiosity, and two is my own self-interest in knowing more and understanding more, but also for society as a whole. We all need to develop and learn and improve what we have given to us and what we have to offer. Additionally, I have a strong family history of depression in our family. And I think that my wish and my hope is that some of these studies can help my children, my children's children, and on down, because we've all been affected by this terrible disease. So I think that I have a real personal interest in seeing that we make some strides in understanding and in treatment of depression, and also of dementia.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for sharing. And Phyllis, how about you? What are your reasons?
My first reason is just self-serving. I want to be on the cutting edge. I want to know what medicines are out there, or new treatments are available to patients with RA or for any disease that I might enter a clinical trial for. But really, as much as my reason is self-serving, it's also that I feel like I'm doing society I hate to say it, a favor, but I'm helping society as a whole, because I am really giving of myself to help find treatment so that people don't have to suffer in the future. And that is the one thing that I've always said that I wanted to do, to try and help others in some way. And I really can't do much in other ways, but that is one very powerful way that I can help, by entering clinical trials and giving the researchers the information that they need and the help that they need to be able to provide better treatments in the future.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you for sharing your reasons. And thank you, everyone, for all your sharing. It's so important to view patients as partners in this process. Without your firsthand knowledge, patients' firsthand knowledge and experience about your conditions, researchers are only getting half the picture. Another good question for patients and people watching this webinar in considering participating in a future research study is how to know if a research study is right for you. This information is provided to patients through the informed consent process, where the research team discusses the nature, procedures, risks, benefits, and treatment schedules of the study in a language that is non-technical and understandable by participants. So, Alicia, how do you personally determine if a research study is right for you? What questions should other patients ask before enrolling in a new research study?
Thank you. In my opinion, I think it's important to ask questions such as, can I leave this trial at any time for any reason without being judged or put in a difficult position regarding my medical care? Sometimes you'll find down the line that this study doesn't work for you. And you want to make sure that if that's the case, then that's okay. You should decide that. And I think the two most important questions, in my opinion, is how transparent are the results of this trial, and how will my safety and my privacy be protected? I believe that both Patients Like Me and the All of Us research program have done a beautiful job with transparency and privacy protection in my experiences with research studies with them, which is why I'm a huge advocate for both of them. So those are some of the, for me, most important questions that are things that I look for before I participate in a research study: privacy, transparency, and what's my way out if I decide it doesn't work for me.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for those reasons. And how about you, Megan? What are your reasons, and what do you think?
Well, I think kind of the downside of being on both sides of this equation, as somebody who designs the surveys, enrolls participants, and who conducts this research, and as somebody who's been on the opposite end of somebody who participates in the research, is that I get very critical. I feel like I always know when a survey is bad or when a study is badly done. So I always go, you aren't asking the right questions here. But I also do want to echo Alicia in that there are websites open for researchers, such as ResearchGate, open access for information, where you can take the data that you collect and you can put it in a database, and you can make all of your research and all of the data you've collected open access. And that's being promoted among researchers as a way of eliminating the paywall and the accessibility gates that a lot of research is under now. If you make your findings free, if you put them on ResearchGate, then you are not just limiting the valuable information you're gathering to other researchers, you're making it available to help everybody understand their own lives. So when I look for a study, or when I participate in a study, I do look at the design, but I also look at what is the value of the information that they're gathering, and are they doing research gathering with value, or are they kind of doing it to like puff themselves up, as many researchers do? Are they making it so that it's not just for them? Is it for everybody? I think that's the many different perspectives through which I view it.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan, for sharing. And Mary, how about you? What kinds of things do you look for in a research study? And what are the types of questions that you would recommend to another patient?
Recommend to another patient to ask themselves?
Yeah, if they're like the kinds of questions that people should be asking if they're going to sign up for a study. And it can even be the kinds of questions that you're asking.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I like to know about privacy. I think that's important to me. I also would like to have more information about the progress of the study. And when and if there is a result, I'd like very much to be a part of having that information. I think that this is both a personal quest for me and also something that I find just kind of intellectually stimulating anyhow. So I think for those reasons, I like to, the more I know, the better I am, is I guess how I should say that. The more I know about this study, the better it is for me.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
Great suggestions. And I know that at Patients Like Me, givebacks are a really big part of the research that we do. And in the All of Us program, same thing, we're giving givebacks to the people that are enrolling are very important. Myself, I am an All of Us participant as well. And it's great when you sign up and you start getting information that's just coming back to you about the aggregate of everybody who's signed up. And how about you, Phyllis? What do you look at in a research study, and what types of questions are you asking that may be useful to other people?
The first thing that I look at is privacy. I want to know how they plan to keep my personal information safe. I want to, the very first thing that I look at when I'm, well, not the first thing, because privacy is one of the first things, but look at locations, because a lot of trials are held in various locations, and I have traveled unnecessarily to different places as part of clinical trials when I later learned that, you know, just right around the corner, there was a location available to me. Then once I enter a trial, I want to know if the drug that I am taking has, if patients are experiencing side effects that may negatively affect me. And that way I may, you know, want to opt out. Or if I do, you know, remain in the trial, I'll know exactly what to expect. I also like to know the length of the trials and the type of drug that I'm taking. And I think that those are basically the main things that I look at: the privacy aspect, the length of the trial, and the type of drugs that if are being administered. I think that's just about it, but
Okay.
those are my things.
Yes, well, thank you for your things. I think that everyone gave some, you know, really great reasons and thoughts and suggestions, and that everyone who's watching this webinar can consider when they're thinking about joining a trial. So those were great points. And patients should only enroll in studies that they feel comfortable in and that they're eligible for, right? One great example of an excellent research study that anyone can enroll in is the All of Us research program. And we have two members of our panel today, our roundtable, who are actually All of Us participants. So what I'd like to do is first we'll start with Alicia to find out what attracted you to sign up for the All of Us research program, and what has been your experience so far?
All right, so, well, we all know that lupus mostly affects women. But more importantly to me, it mostly affects people of color, women of color. And so when I learned about the lack of participation from African Americans in research studies, it was very disheartening to me, because at that point I was just like, wow, if we're never going to get the answers that we truly need if we are not participating, in these studies, if we are not being counted. And the African American community is untapped in so many ways and for so many reasons. Many of us feel suspicious because of, past experiences, but I truly feel that now is the perfect time for us as a community to be more engaged in our health and wellness, because we should be in the mix of biobanks and genetic studies in ways that we haven't before. What I like most about the All of Us research program was that a large percentage of the participants are underrepresented groups. I think that it sheds a lot of light to communities that haven't always had a voice at the table. And I think that that's a great start at mitigating that distrust that exists between African Americans and research that exists today. So that's my reason for getting involved with the All of Us research program.
Thank you, Alicia, for sharing that with us very much. And how about you, Megan? What inspired you and motivated you to become a participant with the All of Us research program?
Well, I've spent most of my life pretty disconnected from my own healthcare. I grew up without health insurance. I don't think I've been to a dentist, so that's fun. So I really wanted to empower myself back in order to do things and in order to participate in research and participate in my own healthcare in a way that I've never been able to before, now that I have these resources. The appeal of the underrepresented groups also stood out to me because historically, people with disabilities and LGBTQ people are vastly underrepresented, and in many instances actively have a very hostile relationship with healthcare, such as, like the gay gene, age research, or the lack thereof. So I kind of want to bring that back in and bring back that underrepresented area and see for myself what are the innovations being made. How's the research on people with disabilities being conducted? What kind of questions are they asking of LGBTQ people? And are they trying to capture the experience of the transgender community? Just kind of seeing for myself where we're at and where I can contribute and what I can change myself. So for me, it's both empowering and educational, and it helps me take back control of something that I haven't had much control over.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for sharing the reasoning that you had for joining. And thank you all for sharing your experiences. So again, these are questions for our All of Us research program participants. But for the two of you who are currently involved in the All of Us research program, do you feel that your voice and lived experience have been impactful in the program? And additionally, what can researchers do to help patients feel like you're truly a partner? And Alicia, I think we'll start with you.
Yes, I do feel like my voice and my lived experience has been impacted in this program. I feel like it has helped me find my voice in my advocacy and to not be afraid to talk to people of color about the importance of participation. That's one of the reasons that I jumped into advocacy. I wanted to make a real change in the world, and I feel like I'm doing my part. I'm not afraid now to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this and I'm okay. And if I can do it, then you can do it too. So it definitely helped me in that area. And as far as what researchers can do, as I mentioned in the beginning, transparency. Being transparent is everything. And one of the things that I feel that makes all of us and patients like me differ from other research programs is that they give you an opportunity to give data back to you if you choose to do so. And many research studies don't offer that. So it sort of makes you feel more like a partner and not so much a study. So I think that helps a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Alicia. And now your turn, Megan. Do you feel like your voice and lived experience have been impactful? And what can researchers do to help patients feel truly like partners?
Well, a big part of advocacy is speaking up. It's about being a little bit annoying, and it's kind of about making it known where people are not doing well and giving a solution. So in my time with all of us, I have been kind of vocal about this isn't accessible, right? These questions for people with disabilities are not very comprehensive, and they aren't the questions that we tend to ask in the community of people with disabilities. So obviously all of us still has a long way to go, but the way to ameliorate that is getting in contact with people with disabilities, asking them, okay, so how would you like to be addressed in this way? How can I make these webinars and how can I make this accessible? So for me, the biggest thing that makes me feel welcome is if I'm being listened to, is if I put in the work to do this advocacy, if I put in the work to speak up, and if they put in the work to hear me, and if they put in the work to change it, because when a space is not accessible, it becomes hostile. And we're like, well, why did you invite us if you're not going to make a space for us? So it's kind of a dual relationship here. Like we both have to work on it. And for people who feel nervous, I'd say that I can't guarantee that it will be perfectly accessible. I cannot guarantee that your experience will always be perfect, but we're both here to learn, and everybody is here to be educated and educate themselves. So all of us puts in the effort to make it as welcoming as possible. And when they fall short, they try to learn. So for me, that's been much more enlightening, and that's been much more welcoming to me than always assuming they do everything right.
Great. Thank you, Megan, and thank you for sharing your insight with the All of Us program. And here at Patients Like Me, we are dedicated to elevating the patient voice and ensuring that patients like you feel supported throughout their healthcare journey, including in research opportunities. So to wrap up this conversation, I'd like to ask one final question. What would you say to patients who are looking to get into research, but are nervous or don't know where to sign up? And I think, Mary, we're going to start with you. What would you say to someone who was nervous about signing up? And where could they go to find out about where to sign up?
Well, I have to tell you, I just got your app and I'm going to sign up. But I didn't have that information before. I didn't know where I might go. So I think that this is an opportunity for me, and it could be an opportunity for others to learn more about that. But having the app will certainly be a start for me. I think that I know that I Google a lot. I'm always Googling. I'm always looking into different programs, different diagnoses, different opportunities for me. And I think that it's kind of incumbent upon the person to also reach out and to seek the opportunity. But this is wonderful that this is available, and it's wonderful that I've learned about it, and I look forward to joining.
Thank you, Mary. That's great. And also thank you, of course, for participating on Patients Like Me. We completely appreciate that and love that. And how about you, Phyllis? What would you say? What would you say to someone who was nervous about signing up, and also telling them where they should sign up?
I would say to someone who was nervous that there's nothing to be nervous about. Their advocacy work, information, just finding somewhere to, to sign up is easy. I mean, there's an advocacy group for pretty much every disease type out there. All you have to do is search for it. It does not hurt to get involved. As a matter of fact, becoming involved and directing your energy in a positive way really does feel good. And it can lead to so many other avenues. So I would just say to people, just give it a try. I mean, you never can tell where it can take you, but you have to take that first step. You have to go online or talk to maybe your doctor or other people that you know who are involved in advocacy work or involved in programs like Patients Like Me or All of Us, and take that first step, because I guarantee you will not regret it.
Thank you, Phyllis. So how about you, Alicia? What would you say to someone who was nervous, and where would you tell people to go to sign up?
So I would say to someone who's nervous that it's okay. I understand your fears and your frustration, but I'm a huge believer in purpose. And I don't believe that we go through things so that we can keep them to ourselves. I believe that we go through things so that we can reach back and help pull others out of their dark seasons. And so there's so much healing in helping others. And so my advice would be to do your part. Like I said, it's healing in it. There's beauty in it. And so the two places that I would recommend is Patients Like Me, and the All of Us research program is a great place to start. You can trust it. Transparency is key there. And so those are two great places to start. But as Phyllis said, you won't look back, and there's just healing in helping others and doing your part to make a change in this world.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you very much. And Megan, how about you? What do you think? What would you say to someone who was nervous, and where should they go to sign up?
Well, I'd say that there's definitely reason to be nervous. Historically, there hasn't always been good associations, and the medical and the research community has not always done their part. But All of Us is kind of a step towards ameliorating that, kind of a step towards understanding and accepting that they haven't always done their part, and this is how they want to make up for it. So if they're nervous, then I get it. And healthcare is scary, and understanding your own healthcare is scary. But it does empower you. It does make you feel as if, it's not that complicated after all, and I can understand it. And that helps people understand their own health. That helps people understand their own diagnoses. It helps them be a self-advocate. And being a self-advocate in the medical setting is really, really important, because not every doctor knows everything. And as for where to go, allofus.com works pretty well. The All of Us app works pretty well. It's very easy to understand, and they really aim it in a way that makes it as simple to sign up and as simple to understand as possible. And if you want extra information, if you want to kind of understand the ethos, then there's always webinars like this.
Thank you very much, Megan. Thank you for your comments. And thank you to everybody for your insightful responses. And again, thank you so much for all of your participation today, for such an engaging roundtable discussion on the importance of patient participation in research. And I hope we were able to answer anyone viewing this webinar today, any of your questions about research and the power of patient engagement. And be on the lookout for a future question and answer where I will be answering member questions. And thank you so much for joining our series and learning more about the All of Us program. To read more about the All of Us program, visit joinallofus.org/patients.